that you are really Iron Man, Mr. Stark.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. It is definitely indeed cause for a celebration because that is exactly what's going on right now in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, for Star Wars. So some of you lucky people are out there in the mix. Wish you could get me some swag or give me a ticket one year so I can go, but that's just me. I don't know. But anyway, this is Comic Book Chronicles, and I am your host, Roddycat, and you can find me at Roddycat on Twitter, News Nerds Need on Twitter, News Nerds Need Reddit, and CB Caps on Instagram. I'm still threatening to put a site together, but hey, we'll see how that works. And with me tonight, the man, the myth, the fellow, our man in legal, the coolest man in Brooklyn, _70.
What's up, everybody?
And you can find him at _70 on Twitter and Instagram. He's doing it for the gram, folks, so you won't have to. Not with us tonight is one PC and _dirt. You can find at that PC and _dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter. I Need Comics on Twitter. Not I Need Comics. As far as I know, he doesn't have that one, but popculturenetwork.com and ineedcomics.com, which is one of his umbrella sites, and all those other umbrella sites under the Pop Culture Network banner. And of course, I would say he's the reason that we're starting late, but that's not true at all. The Osiris of this is Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. You can also find him at the Kliq Nation. That's DKLIQNATION on Twitter. CB Cron on Twitter. TheKliqNation.com, and of course, Comic Book Resources, where he's writing his face off and telling us pertinent goodies about streaming services that's about to come out. And I say that not knowing whether he actually wrote that article, which he did not, but that's okay.
He's tweeting about it.
But he did tweet about it, so that's what's important. You can find this here podcast on the CSPN.us. That's the Cold Slither Podcast Network at that address, CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also subscribe to this podcast at Google Play and Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, you can go to the Cold Slither Podcast SoundCloud page. We are not SoundCloud rappers, although I wouldn't be surprised if there was a show about that on the network at some point.
Huh.
But yeah, that is it. So, folks, as we do all about this time, we're going to get into some comics of the week. And we're going to start off with, and because I'm getting old and really crazed, Avengers No Road Home, number 9. So we are running to the finish line because this has been a weekly book, thankfully, and it's been going by pretty fast. So this is the penultimate book, and it's weird. Well, let me phrase it. It's not weird because, like I said, it's just been kind of flowing, but this issue in itself had 1 or 2 weird moments in it.
Right. Well, the first weird moment is the first page. The opening splash brings in a whole bunch of characters that we have really not seen very much of in a long time.
It's as if Al Ewing was like, you know what? I hadn't. There's these other folks. I just wanted to bring up the fact that, hey, these people still exist, and I did work on them.
Right. I'm like, wait, Avengers World is still a thing?
Apparently.
I was like, hey, that's cool.
Right. But yeah, and yeah, the fact that so we see, bits of the Ultimates and AIM and a couple of actually technically we see another champion and a former Avenger and Nadia Pym the Wasp.
Right.
And the Living Lightning, who I guess for for this particular event was in the probably pretty much about as much as we've seen. Actually, that's not true, because I'm about to say it's pretty much as much as we've seen him in this event as much as the last event, but that's not true because he kind of played a decent part.
Yeah, I was about to say he's a pretty big part of the last one.
So the fact that he wasn't with the main group, during that was kind of interesting. But hey, that's it is what it is.
Right. I mean, it was good. Listen, don't get me wrong. It was nice to see these characters, especially seeing Blue Marvel, right. At the lead. I still think it's funny that he's not wearing a cape. They kind of put him in
right his old costume. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they put him in this weird looking vest. I mean, I guess what's cool is that they can give him the light effects on his arms, but yeah. Just let him run around in a cape. I don't mind.
Hey, capes get you killed.
Yeah, right. That's from Incredibles.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's like I got a weird Black Lightning vibe off of that. I think I have since they did it in Ultimates. But yeah, it's kind of weird. But then the fact that he was,
you mean like a Black Lightning?
Huh?
Like a Black Lightning vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was leading, considering that the last version of Ultimates that we got, America Chavez, who was in that shot, was the one in the lead. So I was like, okay, I guess they just take turns leading. And I guess since T'Challa's not, T'Challa's Avengers now. So that was kind of a weird. I'm like, okay, when did they make that change? It doesn't matter, So yeah, so we get a shot of them, and then we get back to Euphoria, to where, as we said last week, is a planet that we first and last saw in Silver Surfer run by Allred and Dan Slott.
Right.
So, and the planet has come to do its thing. Well, has risen up to do its thing. Not unlike Ego, the Living Planet, which actually showed up in another book. Anyway, that's beside the point. So there's a conversation that kind of goes on for the first part of the book, and Euphoria is, Euphoria being a planet that's, gives folks their desires, but it was being disturbed by the fact that Nyx and the Avengers kind of brought their tiff here for seemingly curious reasons. Was disturbing the place, so therefore they, Euphoria being Euphoria and wanting to make everybody happy, ask everybody what they wanted. There was a couple of weird answers, like Clint's was like, I just want the perfect shot. I'm not gonna spoil the whole thing, but just like just a couple of weird ones. Like Clint's answer was like, wait, you're pretty much one of the two most on point archers in this universe. You would already have that shot already. So, I mean, outside of the other thing that he asked for, which is a callback to his physical state. But
I like that though. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. I was like, you know what, that makes sense. But there's like the whole the perfect shot thing was like, okay, weird. But and then there was another one that seemed kind of ominous, giving, if you've read the sneak peeks of July's solicits, which by the way, some solicits are starting to come out for July.
Right.
So, before I forget later on. So we're starting to see some. I think Marvel and DC's hasn't come out yet, but we did see a couple for Marvel. We'll get to that later. And one Rocket Raccoon makes a statement that's, seems foreshadowing for somewhere down the line. If you've seen those solicits, that's what I'll say. Outside of that, hey, Bruce asked for one thing, which is kind of no surprise. We don't get to see what he says, but we kind of know what he says, especially when it gets kind of repeated back in a way.
Right.
We didn't get to see what it exactly said, but and then again, if you've been with the character for a very little while, you know what he would want. So, And the only other thing about that, which when things started, the action started going, which I don't know if you had anything to say about that part or anything before that part or not.
Well, one of I guess I'm still having some issues with Conan.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of just shoehorned in here.
Yeah,
it feels like to me, but they're claiming no, it's gonna pay off or something. No, I'm like, I believe.
right.
I don't.
And I also and I was about to say, and I also the one thing I wrote in my notes is that I'm just not a fan of Voyager. It's like they give
her a little moment though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they give her the moment. So,
but it's also, it's not like, but the moment they give her though was still not. It was like, okay, she gets charged up, but get charged up to do the one thing that she's pretty much been doing the whole time.
Right.
It's not like she's like, she like led the charges, like went around smacking folks or something. She was like, damn. I'm like, okay, that was
like everybody through the breach again.
Right. It's like a rally cry, and then just
right. So real quick, have you ever met Al Ewing in person?
No, because I don't think he's been to. I'm fairly certain he's not been to Heroes.
Okay, because I want to say
I've missed it.
I want to say that I think they drew him into the story when they emerged on Long Island, but I'm not like the face looks vaguely familiar.
Let me go back and check that out then, because I feel like I don't know if there are that many pictures of him online anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought. No, there is. Just Google Al Ewing. Because I've met him and I was like, wait, that does sort of look like him.
I mean, it wouldn't be surprised because he's one of the, he's
right.
One of the writers, probably might have been the one who wrote this particular issue, but I know this is that's the wrong book. It doesn't. Do
you see what I'm talking about? When they come out on Long Island and Rocket's pointing at the house, you see someone say weird. You hear something?
Yeah, I remember the part. I just
right.
don't remember the place. Which, oh man, so that's the part I wanted to get to. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I thought it was darker than that.
Just Google. He's a British dude.
Sure. Okay, and that could see that that part I've wondered for a while, and now a couple of things make sense.
What, the house?
No.
Oh.
The fact that it was British.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't remember if I've ever like looked him up before, or I might have, and it was like
I think we joked that he was not related to Patrick Ewing, at least directly.
Right. Well, we've definitely made the Eve Ewing thing, but that was more recent. Okay. So yeah. So about that part, that was weird. So because apparently it doesn't seem like it's the house that I thought it was.
Right.
Because I thought that was and I can't remember if I've actually said it last week, but I thought that was Agatha Harkness's house.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't remember that being on Long Island, which I like the fact that they had that little
license plate.
Like Strong Island, all right, PE be praised.
Exactly right.
But I was like, well, so it doesn't seem like that's it. And if it is, that you would think that would have been made apparent by now. But when they got into the house and things started happening, so apparently Bruce was the first one out of the running, because he mentioned something about it being a holy place and he can't go in there. But I guess because, as from what we were finding out about this version of the Hulk, he's the devil.
Right.
So apparently that's the reason why he wasn't able to go forth.
That was just weird.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets even weirder because
Conan also goes away too.
That I don't get it.
Yeah, that's weird. We'll find out more in the next issue, but ultimately that was kind of it was more confusing than it should have been. because we're left trying to figure out what on earth is happening. And eventually it gets rid of everybody. You know, kind of, we don't know if they're being destroyed or being sent back to whence they came, wherever Voyager plucked them from.
Well, what it seemed like they may still be in Long Island, but yeah, they just couldn't get through the front door, except for, well, one of the two most likely people, giving what they said in the last page.
Mm-hmm.
You would think one other person would have made it through, and that person being Monica Rambeau, who is faster than light, who can be faster than light. And they even said, like, hey, only the most sliver of light can get in there. But only one person made it in, and that person didn't even go through the where the light crack was.
Mm-hmm. I think what it is because they wanted to send Vision through, you know.
Right. Oh, wait, that part was apparent, but I'm saying like wait, and Monica, who was in Vision this whole time, which I don't know, it's like that was a weird thing that's been happening since the beginning. I was like, why is Monica even in him for this long?
Well, she's powering him up, probably.
Well, I mean, at this point, yes,
right.
But I'm just saying, even in the beginning, it's like she was in him a long time before she, you know.
No idea. It's one of the aspects of the story that it's, you know, it's kind of a weird development given the history of the characters. You know, the characters. I would say, I was gonna say, it's funny. You know, I didn't even think of the the Hodor bit until you mentioned it now. Because it's the wrong way, you know. Like instead of having his back to it, he's apparently trying to pull it, which according to the art, doesn't look like he's trying to pull it. But what are you gonna do?
Right, like he has, like Hercules got the door, and the door is trying to close, and he's trying to keep it open, and you know, like
it looks like he's trying to push it shut. Right.
You would think, right. Yeah, the way they have it. I mean, the way they have them on here, it was like, that's weird. And so, like I said, there was a couple of really just weird choices that they went with. And yeah, I think we know they definitely wanted Vision to go through. But you would think it was like, well, the person that's as fast as light would have been the one to get through the door. You would think, but nope. Like, and then everybody else who didn't make it because of either not being worthy or holy or. Which I'm assuming that's part of what they're saying. The Conan thing didn't make it, because Conan and Bruce, they got, red no ledger.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else was kind of pushing on to it and didn't make it and whatever. So anyway, this is like I said, this is the penultimate issue. I think we've probably spent as much time as this needed, if not more. The only other thing that was weird to me is Bill the Lobster, and I need to look at that up. Because in that going back to that first couple of pages, that character Bill the Lobster, I'm like, wait, what? Who is this, and where does this person come from? Why?
Is that from like what was it? The X? All right, as we spend time googling Bill the Lobster.
Oh gosh! Wow. Fallen Angels.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like an X thing. That's what I was saying. I was like, wait, that's an X thing.
Oh, I totally forgot about this.
That is too funny. Yep, Fallen Angels. Oh my gosh.
I remember because, matter of fact, even the picture they got for him, I remember that, and I'm like, I still thought that was stupid. I mean, Fallen Angels as a mini, it was pretty decent from what I remember it was, but I'm like, really? Bill that was a weird pull. That's all I can say. It was like, why Bill the Lobster of all? And where did he come from recently?
No idea. No.
It's like Al, whoever wrote this. Like, I think I want to say it was Al Ewing who wrote this issue. I should actually find that out for certain.
That's wild.
I'm just throwing this weird ass pull.
And Gomi. Yeah, I was going to say, Gomi is the dude that's holding Bill the Lobster.
Right. And the fact, and that was the bad thing about it. It was like Blue Marble didn't even call Gomi. He was just like, hey, Bill, who was being held. I'm like, okay, that's sure.
That's just weird.
Yeah. Bill. Oh no, he does call Gomi. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I could have sworn he said Gomi. I didn't want to scroll back up.
Okay.
That's so funny.
I was like, really? Like, where in the world did lobster come from? And now I remember. And now I actually kind of almost want to go back and read Fallen Angels. In fact, I think I have those physical copies of that. Wait, so for those that don't know, there was a lobster. We didn't see this box again. See, both Bill and Gomi were considered potential recruits for the initiative because they take just any old crazy person or thing.
That was the roundup of all random characters.
Yeah, and I'm trying to wait. Are there any? What is the thing?
You got me, man.
So the creation of augmented abilities, human level intelligence and strength, and the ability to project small illusions for communications for a pair of lobsters, Bill and Dawn. So that's apparently their power set, or its power set. Anyway, moving right along. Yeah, because that was just one of the weirdest things in a interesting weird book. We're coming to. It ends next week, and we'll see if they can pull it out.
Yeah.
So we are going to
do an interesting read.
Yeah, hopefully, and I'm hoping. I mean, the last one kind of. It had some good points in it. Like the good thing about it, this event's been going by fast because it's been weekly, so it's been kind of moving.
Sure.
But hopefully it moves to somewhere. Next up, War of the Realms: Journey into Mystery #1. We are. Do
you want to? Well, I was about to say, do you want to cover the As Guardians of the Galaxy issue first, because that kind of rolls directly out of the events of. It kind of does it more.
Sure, let's do that. Yeah, sure. Well, let's do that. So
only because, like, you sort of see how
I mean, you're right.
Does, but I think As Guardians of the Galaxy is like you literally get these characters dropped in the middle of this. I mean, you sort of get that in Journey too.
Yeah, but is that given at a certain point of the battle it is, and As Guardians seem closer to the nearing of the issue, than probably War of the Realms. Anyway, As Guardians of the Galaxy #8, calling an audible here. Which is a War of the Realm tie-in, and what I was going to say was that you can safely say that we are knee-deep in War of the Realm at this point.
Yeah.
Because #1 came out last week. There's at least 3 tie-ins, which 2 of we're going to talk about, because I didn't read the Squirrel Girl one. And I think that's the only other tie-in that is. But as far as Guardians of the Galaxy, this rolls in from, I believe this, because I just finished catching up to that today. And basically, hey, the As Guardians of the Galaxy, they join in the because after they find out that, hey, Malekith's doing this thing, War of the Realm started, Midgard's getting attacked, and here they come.
Right. They've been on the other side, or at least far away from. They've been out in deep space doing whatever it was they were doing with what was that character from Star Comics that we were joking about with the new Raptures? Planetary and
yeah, they were on Ego.
Yondu, yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
yeah, they were Ego's planet, and they dealt with that, and then after they got with that they pretty much in this issue they end up on Asgard.
Right.
And they come across Heimdall, who gets their piece of the Rainbow Bridge because they were using it to power their ship. And then he transports them to the battle. And this is when we basically get an issue of them just joining the fray. Right. And
we're basically at the end of War of the Realms #1.
Although I kind of wonder about that, though, because and I say that for this reason. It seems like War of the Realms, the Journey into Mystery might have been before this. And I say that because if you at the end of War of the Realms, when everything just got started, all those Avengers and Doctor Strange and all those other people, and Freya and the other people were there. who don't show up here. Well, as far as I know, I don't remember. As far as I remember, do not show up here. Like, do you see the Avengers? You see Doctor Strange. You see some of these other people. You know.
Yeah,
but
what I was gonna say, I think all of these tie-in issues are going to show aspects of that main battle. You know, at least at this stage of the game.
But you can probably kind of put together a time frame of it, or at least somebody's going to try to, as to possibly when,
like a reading order.
Yes.
But ultimately, you know, what we were saying before still applies.
Yes.
As Guardians of the Galaxy are dropped right into the Battle of Manhattan, basically. This version of the Battle of Manhattan.
So not to be confused with.
Right. And this is, you know, this is a War of the Realms stuff. There's a couple of things we need to be brought up to speed with. One is the human host of Valkyrie apparently was running around with a Nova helmet for you know, in the recent
issue. Yeah.
And you know, that, you know, the magic, I guess, that had been powering it decided to quit for obvious reasons.
Right.
Obvious reasons. Right. We get a little note. Right. We get a little note about why that would be the case, relating back to War of the Realms #1. So
as we find out, we'll find out later on, that's kind of not a finality.
Right. So what's cool about this is that these are the logical characters that you would think would be tying right into War of the Realms. These are the literal Asgardians of the Galaxy team that are kind of spread out, you know, across the universe, and now they're being brought back to fight in the war. So it's, you know, you would think that they would be part of a group of heroes that would turn the tide, as, you know, being godling types, but things don't go so well.
Yes. Because sorry, I got distracted by something.
No, it's okay. Well, I was about to say, things don't go so well because the human host for Valkyrie decides to run off on her own because she has to make sure her girlfriend is okay. And I'm like, really?
Well, and before that, though, we see Thor Frog also run off because he sees Central Park on fire and is like, I gotta go protect my people. And come to find out that, which I have been loving the Throg pages of the book, because it seemed like pretty much every issue, almost every, at least the last few issues, has been a page of Throg in the self dialogue, and then some heroic action by him. You know, he's pretty much the MVP of the group. You might as well say.
I'm sorry.
I said he's pretty much MVP of the group.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm a little behind on the book, so I'm a few issues behind. I remember them being out in space. Deep out in space with whatchamacallit, with
he's had some pretty good turns in the book, you know, and like there's been some you know, like then a little bit of self dialogue, and then, you know, in this particular issue, he's like, you know, I gotta see about my people because I've been neglecting them. I've been in space, and then he gets there and it's like, well, I'm unworthy, but not today. And then just, you know, and then just goes into action. So that's always is a fun bit. So, but yeah, but then after that, like I said, we see Annabelle Riggs, who, if you did not know, came out of Fearless Defenders,
right?
Which was from 2013, something like that. Regardless, it's a few years ago. And she got merged with Valkyrie during the course of that, which is why she's the human host. I like Captain Marvel. Anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah, she runs off to go check up her girlfriend, who is also, by the way, from that same book. She met later in that same book, who's an Inhuman. I totally forgot about this. Like, it was like, oh right, she's an Inhuman.
I didn't realize. I was like, wait, she has powers? Why is she worried about her? I was like,
right.
I'm like, wait, she looks like she's holding her own there, lady.
Right. But, as Thunderstrike says, it's love, man.
So, you know, and the issue ends on a cliffhanger based on Valkyrie's actual responsibilities.
Right. We also see where Freya and the rest of that crew apparently is, and like Agent 70 said, we're gonna see some of her responsibilities there. So overall, it was a pretty good issue. Like, it was As Guardians of the Galaxy actually ended up being a decent book. Like, I was like, I don't know if this is gonna go anywhere or last for too much longer.
Right.
There's been some fun moments in the book because they basically was coming out of Infinity Wars in a sense.
Okay. I mean,
because they were dealing with, because remember they were first. Well, you I don't know how far back you read it, but they were dealing with Nebula,
right? That I remember.
Right, who was trying to get more power to deal with.
She was building the Naglfar, the boat of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
That I remember. So that was coming out of Infinity.
Which they still have, yeah. So I assume going into this, I assume that's going to come back up at some point.
It's funny that as Guardians of the Galaxy is actually being propped up by some of these events. It's something that I didn't think would have any legs, but we're already, if it makes it to issue 12, or and we get like 2 nice sized trades out of it, I'll be glad to see that.
Right.
I don't know if you have any faith in getting it beyond that, though.
I guess, like I said, I'm slightly surprised that it got to this point.
Well, I think they needed for it to,
but it makes sense.
They did to be a prime tie-in book for War of the Realms,
right? Because, like you said, this is the logical place for them to be in. Okay. All right. But check your tea timer.
Yeah, right.
So it makes sense for that to be the case, and the book's not bad. Like, I hope it lasts longer than the events, but because that'll be sad that it's like, well, we just got this book here for these couple of events, or this specifically this because even running out of the other one, it was just to lead up into this. If we're being honest, so hopefully it could have legs past that, but that's kind of doubtful at this point, given the makeup of the group and whatever's going to happen with this war. So, but yeah, that was it's Guardians of the Galaxy. If we're done with that, we can get to the other War of the Realms tie-in, which is, I guess we could say, the true War of the Realms tie-in, or one of the mini series books that's coming out of it. War of the Realms Journey into Mystery #1, which is bringing back the old Journey into Mystery title book. In a sense. Although, I guess it still fits, because I mean, Journey into Mystery is where we got Thor from in the first place, correct? Or he was the book that was his in the first place, if I'm not mistaken, right?
What's that?
Journey into Mystery.
Yeah, he started in that book, yeah.
Right. And then they started using, I think they started putting in other characters. So this is this is an old title that is, if you go back and look, if you research, it's been a thing for a minute. But anyway, in this particular thing, we have what Agent 70 found out before the show. The crux of the book is that a team got put together to safeguard another one of Odin and Frey's kids. One that we thought, or at least let me phrase that, one that I thought was just ginned up for the story, but apparently it's been around since, speaking of As Guardians of the Galaxy's Angela, since she's been in the Marvel Universe, and she's been in the Marvel Universe for a few years now. And come to find out that this is a character that's been around for like 4 years or so, but still a baby. That, like I said to Agent 70, you would think, given the fact that, hey, Thor's got a kid sister, another kid sister, excuse me, an actual kid sister, because Angela's not a kid, and that this kid needs to be protected because Surtur's daughter is trying to go after her,
right? Actually, technically her stepsister.
Well, yeah. There is that also.
Only in the weirdest of technicalities.
Right. And Thor's family tree is probably deeper than Yggdrasil. So that causes Freya to give Balder, who is, if you did not know, Thor's brother, give him charge to take care of this kid and keep her safe. And Balder is tasked to get a team together to help him with that. However, it is not the team that he was expecting to find.
Right. Talk about variations.
He was prophesied to find. Yes.
Right.
So, I guess, well, we'll get to that in a second. So, about the writers of this book. But, so we get this ragtag team that consists of the Man of Spiders, but not that one. We're talking about
the dog of gods, right? The dog of gods.
The god of dogs. Thank you.
Right.
Thor will bite out of you if you say it. Right. I don't know why I love Thor. Right. Thor is fun.
Right. You get an archer, a would-be sorcerer supreme, a half-machine warrior, and the one of wonders, and you're not getting what you think, Balder.
Except for, well, especially with that last one, but yeah. So yes. Being that Thor was already with Balder, so that was already got together. He just so happens to run across Miles Morales with Spider-Man, so he was already there, as fate would have it. And then they end up running across. Another Thor side character is also shows up for a second, but we don't. I'm guessing she's going to be in another book or something. That Roz Solomon character.
She's always around,
right? But she wasn't on this quote unquote road trip. Well, she wasn't in the beginning. Like she got him there, and then she got him to Broxton.
Right. That's where I guess they have to hold the line because, or at least start heading further west from Oklahoma.
Well, right. That's where I think that's where she stays, and then the rest of them goes west, young man. And there was a particular amusing line where the Citra's daughter Cinder was like, "Where the wind goes whipping down the plains." I'm like, "Really? You're gonna call it Oklahoma?" Which I guess that's logical, but
yeah, I mean that's a little bit of a reach for a creature of of Muspelheim.
Right.
That's a little bit much. It's a little bit much.
Yeah. So, but that being said, like I said, Surtur, Miles, and Thori meet up with Kate Bishop. That is the archer, Wonder Man, the Man of Wonders, and not the Wood. Well, I guess technically in some realm he would be the Sorcerer Supreme, and that is Dr. Druid's son Sebastian, whom I thought was dead. Because I could have sworn there was some Avengers book where he got ran through. But I guess he's got better. I don't know. Yeah. So
I don't recall. So
I remember when something happened to him, but like I said, it might have, and it might have was it Ultimates or something? I don't know. Regardless, it was or it might have been like an AIM book. I know he showed up in an Avengers book probably a couple of years ago. And that was the last time I saw him. And I could have sworn something had happened to him or alluded to something that happened to him. But nevertheless, this whole ragtag gets in an RV and they're heading west and they're getting chased by Cinder. Well, and of course, I'm sitting here like, I wonder how long they've been running and gas considerations, because the RV, it's kind of a guzzler, one, and they've been hitting the joint at speed, so it was like, that can't be safe. Being chased by the big Mad Max looking truck. So until something ends up happening, but when they finally deal with what's going on, and we find out another warrior comes along that is chasing them, apparently. Some would say the warrior, or as someone would say, some would say wars were created by this person.
Right.
Happens to come along in the last page, who used to be an Avenger, but he kind of slides back and forth between sides. So
right, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but that being said, this was a pretty fun issue. There was some amusing moments. Wonder Man still being a pacifist is this thing that kind of irked me, but that's the whole thing.
Right. I mean, I recall the days when he wasn't exactly combative, but his biggest Achilles heel, his biggest weakness was that he didn't want to die again.
Right.
So he fought extra hard. So it's a weird turn to see him being, to see him as a pacifist.
Right. Oh yeah. Going from when you just got reincarnated and being scared to fight but fighting, back in the old jumpsuit days, to becoming big action hero, kind of full of himself and the wackos.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I can't remember what Avengers team or whatever where it was, coming back to being a pacifist. I'm like, oh, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Simon. But anyway, so yeah, it's a weird makeup of a team, and here it is. I don't know. Does it say how many issues this thing is going to be? Is it 4 or 5? Or is it 3?
Hold on.
Yeah, no.
I'll tell you. Based off of previews, I'll take a look in Marvel's previews and see how many issues Journey into Mystery.
I like how you have the physical book right there at the ready. That's
I
good.
tried to keep like 2 months worth somewhere nearby. It's 5 issues.
Fact Finding Kills podcast, folks. I've been told this before.
What's that?
That's it. Fact Finding Kills podcasts.
Where's that?
It's a joke. That's
I was going to say, Journey into Mystery is 5 issues.
Okay.
New Agents of Atlas is 4 issues. War Scroll was 3 issues. So there's a couple of upcoming War of the Realms
there's a few
miniseries that are coming up. So some of them are as short as 3-issue series, but this one appears to be the longest one.
Right. So strap in, folks. We're in it for a couple of months.
Yep.
And I guess that's it, because neither one of us read the other tie-in book, which was Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
No.
So that being said, we can move right along, because I think we probably spent way a little too much time on that one.
I was about to say we could do maybe like another book or 2 and then go to rapid fire.
Yeah, because we got we got a couple of books still the same. So let's get into. Hey, let's get into Spider-Man stuff.
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man 19.
All right. So I actually have this as a potential click of the week. It's the next chapter of Hunted. A bunch of key pieces are running around the board, and the Black Ant may actually be the key to Spidey figuring a lot of this stuff out.
Makes sense.
Of all people, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, given what happened to him, I don't want to say last year, because last year was the Gibbons swan song, I guess.
Right. What I was going to say, yeah. What you're hinting at strongly is the extra heel turn that the Taskmaster. There's a wrestling reference in there, folks.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that lately. Ugh. Anyway, but yes, you're right. And speaking of, oh man, that's splash page with Taskmaster coming in with his new acquisition.
Oh yeah, this issue is a guest appearance on art by Gerardo Sandoval.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is, if I recall, we actually had a bit of news on this where Ramos had to take like an issue or 2 off or something so that they could keep this on schedule.
I believe so.
So Gerardo Sandoval does the art on this, and it's mostly a good Ramos-esque Spidey book. You know, the art style, his art style lends itself to, you know, not blending in, but definitely maintaining a consistent look for the book as this event goes along. And
Yeah,
the panel, right, the page, I was just going to say the page that you're referring to is a full page splash.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't blink if you, like, even if you didn't know. I mean, you know, obviously you would know. You wouldn't miss a beat if you thought that it was Ramos.
Right.
So that is, you know, that's a good sign. I mean, that's a good thing. You want that consistency.
Right. And what I was gonna say is you could see Bacalo's redesign coming into play.
Yes.
You know, he really adapted the kind of Godzilla spines, you know, like the altered, kind of modified Stegosaurus plating along the spine going all the way to the tip of the tail. You could definitely see him playing. You could see Sandoval playing with that design.
Yeah. And for those who don't know who we're talking about the lizard who shows up. Because one of his brood is involved, although I'm not sure if that is why. Well, we'll see where that's going to go. But probably one has nothing to do with it. It just so happens to be the case. Surprisingly, and that we don't. Where's Vermin?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Kind of a different. This is kind of a different thing than Kraven's Last Hunt was. That's a good question. But I'm just curious. It's like, that was probably one of the only things that's one of the only other thing that's missing from this.
That Vermin's not around.
Yeah. Although, like I said, it would be weird. It would be kind of weird because it's not like. So, if you did not know, Hunted is about the fact that Kraven the Hunter and Arcade gathered a bunch of animal-based villains and Spider-Man and got them all trapped in Central Park under the same dome that kept that was surrounding Earth not too long ago, by the way. And all for the notion of being hunted by a bunch of rich folks in VR gear and robotic Kraven suits at that. So there's already been a bunch of deaths, including one. You got to pour one out for the Gibbon, whom we didn't talk about that HU from last, or did we talk about?
We did.
We talked about a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, like I having read that today, I was like, wow, that really does kind of make you feel for the guy, which kind of comes back up because of the fact that, like I said, the Vulture's trying to rally all of the villains together, you know, to get out of there for his own purposes, but he uses the Gibbon, who he screwed over a couple of issues ago, you know, and use the story to his own benefit. Which is why I say in my notes, I'm like, yeah, the Vulture's a piece of work. And we see Spidey, you know, starting to piece everything together, you know. So,
right. I mean, obviously, Spencer drops the black ant into Spidey's lap, almost literally, so that you know, he can be the source of information on this, because otherwise, you know, they're not really. You know, there's still a lot that's unknown as to how they're all going to get out of this. It's kind of nice that that Black Cat is adopting. It seems funny that the Black Cat is adopting a bit of a maternal approach to young Billy Connors.
Right. And you know, even someone as quote unquote hardened as her can have a soft side every now and then.
Right.
Which, given her relationship with Spider-Man, yeah,
sure.
So, but anyway, that's pretty much to deal with that. Like, this is, you know, it's still a decent little Spidey event so far. But I don't know if you're thinking like I am, Agent 70, in that when we're going to get to the fact that Kraven and Spidey's going to square off again. should that happen.
I think.
Although I'm thinking something else could potentially happen. Like the son is probably going to be like, you know what, Dad, you're not doing this for me, and then takes on Spider-Man himself.
Could be. You know, it still might be a passing of the torch, right? It could be a passing of the torch moment too.
Yeah, because there's just been little signs like the son hasn't been having much of what Craven Senior's, like just been going along with it. And it's like, oh wait, I thought you put this all together so you could be the one. Like, nah, it's not my time yet. And
right,
son's just kind of whatever. But anyway, that's Amazing Spider-Man. This is, I think we got next issue is another HU, right? Yeah, the next
the
issue,
lizard, the lizard issue is next, I think.
So we'll see how that pans out. We're going to push on to another Spidey book of the week, and that would be Friendly Neighborhood Spidey, number 5. So this was building up. So both Agent 70 and I had been reading this book, and we knew this was coming from the first issue. But apparently they spared us one, or I don't know. They personally
spared us the details of, and spoiler. I'll ring the bell, even though this has been teased for a number of issues. So spoiler bell, spoiler warning here on in. So apparently Aunt May's been diagnosed with some form of cancer, and what they do is they avoid telling us what kind of cancer it is, but they eventually jump right into what her treatment options are.
Right, and they also gloss over the talk, which we thought was coming in with her telling Peter that.
Right.
Which weirdly enough, so if you go back a couple of episodes, actually, the last few episodes where Friendly Spider-Man's come to said that I've said that I've been dreading this moment because like they don't want to see it, and then they spared us, and I'm kind of bummed that they did, but at the same time, I guess it kind of goes along with what they're trying to do with this book, because the Friendly Neighborhood moniker is not just not just the fact that Spidey keeping it strict level. I think they're trying to keep this book light as possible.
Maybe. I mean, this is a pretty heavy subject to keep in the light book.
But the way they're handling it is rather light. Not that, and that is the point. Because even what else is going on in this book now, or in this issue, where with Spidey and the kid, just so happens to have a similar thing going on. They kind of kept that light, because we started this issue, like I said, with Peter being told, and then he's like, and Aunt May is like, you gonna be there with me, with the for my chemo? And he's like, I got other things to do, which right then and there was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was the wrong answer there. I was like
that is one, not Peter-like, and two, like, what?
Yeah, no, what I thought was, I'm looking for the sound effect. Oh, here we go. That was the sound effect that was running through my head. I was just like, wait, you got another chance at that strike?
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because going into the as this issue goes along, which I guess, so let me back that up a little bit. Like, yes, in a way, it is kind of a Peter answer, but it shouldn't have been a Peter answer for Aunt May, who is basically the most important person in his life, outside of Mary Jane, but still. I guess if they had, then this would have been a little heavy issue, and they would have, it would have been Peter, going a whole different other route. But at the same time, like, that was kind of the route I was expecting. Nevertheless, Peter's like, I got some big things to do, and then he kind of goes off and finds some stuff to get into as Spider-Man, and you just.
Well, what's funny about
you can think.
All right, what's funny about this is that we've all, if you've ever known anyone who has been in Peter's situation in this case, or has had family that's in Peter's situation in this case, this is not an uncommon reaction.
I agree, and that was having a having know of and possibly in dealing with a similar situation, not a similar situation, I shouldn't even say that, but a situation that would cause a reaction like that to happen.
I've seen this exact what I was gonna say is I've seen this exact situation play out, and it's not uncommon. Like you said, it's not what you would expect from someone whose whole spiel is with great power comes great responsibility,
and someone who
carries a lot. He carries a lot of responsibility with regards to Aunt May. It's not something you expect, but it's something that is understandable, and it gives the writer a chance to tell kind of a one and done in one night story. This is not something that happens that takes him a ton of time to figure out what to do. He kind of figures it out over the course of a single night's adventure. And with a nice little interlude with Doctor Strange of all people.
And that part is why I actually like this issue, because they call back to an issue of Doctor Strange from not that long ago. It's only been a couple of months.
Yes.
Where Spidey comes a calling on Doctor Strange to talk to the spider he had on him. So I like that they brought that back up, and Bat shows up also, which I thought was cool. So yeah, all that and the other stuff that happened between the time that he talked to Aunt May and the end of the book was all in service of getting back to that point. Which I get, but at the same time, I'm like, really?
I understand it. That's the thing.
I do, but
while it's not something you would expect, but we're never going to get what we expect. It's too clean. It's too clean a story. You're not getting a story if it's just okay. I'll go with her. And
that's what. And exactly in reading that, I had gotten to that point after that. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I still didn't like it, but
because it doesn't seem like it's up. Like that he's behaving the way we would understand him to behave. But ultimately, we get what we think he would do, from jump. So, but like I said, having seen it, pretty much firsthand, I understand it.
So, and I totally do too. So, like I said, I'm not sitting here saying those like that's just an unreasonable way to be. It is not. It is actually probably the most human, if reaction, if anything. So, especially is like I said, as you and I have both seen, realistically.
So, at the end of the day, it was the superheroic shenanigans aside, it seemed to be a fairly realistic, portrayal, especially, especially knowing the character. The character is never going to be portrayed consistently one way or another, because that would make them not human. So, Parker's been fallible to throughout his history, so that's not surprising to say the least. But I understand where you're coming from when we're talking about like what we're expecting to see right away.
Right. So basically, this was a good issue for some things that happened in it, but not for what we were what I was expecting to happen. And also, it doesn't seem like he still learned anything from Brand New Day, because he asked Doctor Strange, like, hey, could we maybe kind of turn this back a little, basically lose to wanting to be able to turn this back. And Doctor Strange was like, yeah, man, I could, but that comes with a price.
Right. I mean, what's funny about it is, it harkens back to Jane Foster,
right?
In a sense where even Thor is like, there's something we can do in Asgard. There's this, that, and the other thing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if that's the case, why doesn't everyone go up to Asgard and
who has that ability, right?
You know, but you know, Marvel. I mean, comic books has always been consistent in that there's just some things that magic of any sort really can't help with.
Sure. Yeah, even when you go through it, apparently it gets retconned later, a little while later, or
depending on the. I was going to say depending on the character. I mean,
well, yes,
I was about to say Marvel still isn't. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. And
Marvel was the first. Yeah, I was about to say Marvel. I think was the first superhero casualty of cancer, and
it's true.
I don't think they've ever resurrected him. You know, they've ever really brought him back permanently. So
nope. Right. So that is from Neighborhood Spider-Man. It is what it is. And I'm thinking at this point, wait, what else do we have together? Oh, you want to get to, I guess, Invaders, since I think looks like that's the last book we have between us.
Sure.
So Invaders number 4 is our next book.
All right. We get a big retcon history lesson.
I called it the secret history of Namor.
Right, because it literally slots right into. And again, my basic familiarity with Namor's history was informed by Marvel Saga. Shout out to Marvel Saga from years past. I remember exactly some of the panels that Butch Geist doing the art on this? I think it's Butch.
Sounds right.
That Butch Geist is referring to. So essentially, just to get people up to speed, Jim Hammond and Steve Rogers are trying to get a handle on what this family of a fallen the descendants of U.S. soldiers. No, I was going to say U.S. soldiers that fought alongside the invaders.
Sure.
Right? So they're sort of in cahoots with Namor's plans, and this one descendant is basically spilling her guts and tells us all what she understands to be Namor's past once he was out of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So that fills in some of the gaps. My understanding after after the war ended was that he basically had been had his mind wiped by that guy Destin.
Right.
But
and he's wandering the earth.
Right. That's what I think we all understood to have happened. But apparently, spoiler bell here. I'm going to ring this because this.
And well, we should point out before you do that did still happen. However,
right. But apparently, Namor went to this family first before that whole wandering bit. Before he even fought with Destin, and ultimately, he has a past with them. That where he kind of played a long-term house guest, and
basically ingrained with the family.
Right. That being said, he comes in. He comes up with them, and gets his memory back after some time, and he runs into none other than Charles Xavier, who has been teased as a part of the story from the beginning.
Right. Which I wanted to say that also is something that came up in the past. Because obviously the whole thing that Namor's a mutant, that definitely has, and they talk about some of that in the past. But I want to say maybe not this part, but definitely the fact that he's dealt with,
Oh, sure. He's definitely had his mutant heritage used as numerous story plot points.
Right, but as I say in my notes, this basically ends up sounding like well, as I said, like the secret history of Namor, but also a touch of X-Men First Class.
Sure.
Because
He's the Magneto role.
Exactly, because what we find out is that he's rolling with during the early days of Xavier trying to find mutants, who he just so happens to find Namor first.
Right, and he almost finds Wolverine, which I thought was pretty funny.
Which again, yeah, it goes back to that thing. I'm just like, okay, really? All right. And then they meet up with this other mutant, and that causes an issue, and that causes Xavier to screw up again, trying to do something good, but it which causes, you might as well say, Namor to have a break, a psychotic break, and have this person implanted in his mind that from his old war days, and who we know of in another capacity during the course of this book.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because
that gets tied together.
Right. It's interesting because my one note basically summed up my feelings on this. It's an interesting retcon that fits into what has always been Namor's biggest weakness, which was his instability. The instability in his personality and his his psychological health, because of how quickly his temper could sort of turn his character from good to bad or bad to neutral.
Right, because historically it's been like, oh, he's had this imbalance because he can't stay in water too much longer, or he can't stay on land for too long, because else, there's a imbalance. And they mention that in here, but there's while still being a little bit more to it, but yeah, playing within the realm of all of that.
Right. They actually do reference, like I said, there's a panel, I think it's a Kirby panel, where Johnny Storm burns away the beard from Namor, revealing Namor's actual look.
Wait, I don't know if they do that. They
did an homage. Yeah, they do an homage of that panel.
Because yeah, they definitely mention the fact that Johnny found him, but I don't remember.
It's that panel. It's that exact panel where they're basically showing the Human Torch's hand, sort of burning.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So that's a classic panel, where they reveal the reemergence of Namor the Submariner, and now, as I said earlier, the descendants of this soldier are in cahoots with Namor, and we see something very bad happen to the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, or so we think.
Well, exactly. We're led to believe, at least.
Yes, it looks to be a fatality, but we don't know. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. So very quickly, just before you finish your thoughts, I don't think is it all Butch Guys doing the art on this, or is it Carlos Magno? Because I remember saying this before, the previous issue. Right. Oh yeah, they're sharing it. That's why. Mm-hmm. Magno's art seemed to be a little bit lighter on the detail lines on the pages that you could sort of recognize as his. So that's a welcome thing.
And I suspect it's the flashback stuff. Well, no.
Yeah, Geis has the flashback stuff. I think Magno has the present day stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what seems to be where things are differentiated. Because I see Magno's style in the opening kind of framing sequence.
Right.
And on the last couple of pages where the Winter Soldier is where the Winter Soldier is back. So, but like I said, it seems like the heavy like the cross hatching and the heavy line work on the faces, even though he's only got a few pages in this book, at least is less apparent than it was in the last issue.
Right.
Just that's just a bit of an art quibble that I have, but I know that there's lots of people who would mention that and say, look, you can't really, you gotta let the colorists do their work.
Right.
Especially in this day of digital coloring, man.
Indeed.
Alrighty. So if you want, we could spin it up and do rapid fire.
Do it.
Here we go.
Let me go ahead and polish off my list.
Sure.
Because right off the heels of Invaders, I want to mention Winter Soldier #5. And say that this is the last issue of this miniseries, which finds Bucky dealing with the events of the last issue, and that RJ's dad got dealt with, basically, in an unspectacular way, and Bucky has to deal with that. And someone from the first couple of issues, the dude named Colt, just how happens to come back into the issue. And the whole thing pretty much gets tied up all nice and neat, but there's a tie that may or may not be come back to at some point, because while a couple of things got tied up, it kind of leaves something to possibly come back to in another time and place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave it at that. X-Force #6. We get the events leading up to now, or leading, I guess. I would say leading up to now, leading from extermination or whatever the case may be. Basically, we see everything that's happened up until now from Strife's point of view. We get, because I think last issue was we get young Cable's kind of not necessarily origin story, but how he came into being in the story, and we got it from Strife's side, and including adding some information on a person that Cable is looking for. But it ends up in a big fight and Strife getting what he wants, and the issue ends. Nobody's died yet either. Surprise. Okay. Titans #36. Also the last issue of this run, and also another book that gets tied up all nice and neat, because so this is like the Titans were in this place called Unearth, and apparently this the villain they were fighting against, Mother Blood, got powers, has had powers based in the Red. And if you are a DC person who knows about the Red and the Green and all that other stuff, more power to you. But basically the Red is kind of a counter to the Source Wall. And she's basically using this Unearth place to amass more power in the Red, so she could do with something with the Source Wall. I don't even know. Or she could bleed into the Source Wall. And the Titans run away. Raven kind of saves the day. There's flashbacks from before issue 1 of this volume where Nightwing, excuse me. Nightmask is a totally different character. Tries to recruit Raven, and we see a turn from her, saving the day. And Beast Boy get back to normal. And there you go. Ends. Wonder Twins Wonder Twins #3. So we get Kliq in this issue, except for it's not the Kliq that we know from the Super Friends per se, in that he is I don't want to say messed up, but he was kind of a mistreated circus monkey called Sir Lancelot, not to be confused with Lancelot Link, and definitely not to be confused with Detective Chimp. But so we get a little story, about them acquiring him, or he coming into the fold. There's a life lesson or two from Superman with the twins, and they still going against this farm league of the Justice of the League of Legion of Doom that they're been basically unwittingly set upon or going against now. And it's interesting. Lex Luthor has got his hands, and I call Lex Luthor the Tom Look of the story, because he's basically leaning on this other character's dad for some stuff, and that's what ends up this dad being in cahoots with this farm league team. But it's interesting. Well, it's funny, amusing at that. So I don't know. And I believe, oh yeah, that, folks, is that.
All righty. I've only got a few books to cover because we did have a lot of books in common this week. First for me is Batman number 68. Batman's Nightmare Continues. We actually have a pretty funny issue that relays what apparently was the bachelor and bachelorette parties that might have actually happened, but I don't think were ever really detailed before. So it's a pretty funny nightmare for Batman to go through as this breaking of the latest breaking of the bat continues. Ronin Island number 2. This is a book by Greg Pak. He's developing a great story. You know, it's a mix of Asian cultures and a smattering of AD&D. We're talking old school Oriental adventure stuff. So it's definitely worth reading because it's easy to get into, and it's and it's fun.
I was about to say, Agent 70 and I had a real deep talk about that particular thing a few weeks ago.
Right, and we found a literal treasure trove of resources. Just at random, literally at random. It was, one of those things you don't even set out to do one night, and the next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you're still doing it.
Yeah, I still have the audio from that. And unlike this episode, which I forgot to hit record on, maybe you'll hear that one day. Anyway,
Symbiote Spider-Man number 1. I actually read this despite gritting my teeth because of Greg Land's awful art. What's funny is that when I was in the shop this week, I did not want to pick it up because I did not want to deal with more Greg Land art in my collection.
You did.
No, I didn't. I read it. I read our review copy.
Oh.
Well, I just read our review copy. It's actually a pretty cool Peter David story, and if you read the notes in the back from Peter David and from the editor, it's actually pretty cool because there's a spoiler alert here. I'm not spoiling the fact that this story is set in the distant past. We're talking about literally like in the first month or 2 after Secret War, where Peter Parker's trying to is readapting to life as Spider-Man with a symbiote costume that he doesn't know is a symbiote yet. He hasn't gone to Reed Richards yet, so he still thinks it's a piece of alien tech. And what's funny is that we definitely know that this is set in the past, pre 9/11/01, because of some landmarks, the World Trade Center being depicted prominently in the book, and Peter David actually mentions it in the story in the post, in the end notes. We'll call them end notes, basically, because it's not a letters page; it's an end note in the end notes of the book. So that was pretty cool to see. Greg Land couldn't screw that up because he's basically, using either, drafting.
The hate.
Yeah, seriously, I can't deal with Greg Land. And that's pretty much it. That covers my books for the week.
Well, here, question about Symbiote Spider-Man. Is that tying into anything current?
With Far From Home? Well, it features Mysterio. So that's, that's one thing to kind of help get the character of Mysterio some shine, but the timing of this is a little curious. I'm not sure how. I'm not sure why it's being released now.
I was thinking it might have had something to do with that upcoming Venom thing, but I don't know. So I was wondering if it was just making some allusions to that coming on, but it doesn't sound like it is.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
All right. Click of the week.
We have one, I would say 2, but actually we just have one. From one Tim Dog, and his click of the week is War of the Realms Journey into Mystery number 1, for which he did not give a reason for, but nevertheless.
I understand, though. I understand. We definitely spoke at length about it because it's just a little on the funky side.
It's fun. It's a fun issue. So for all it does. And we don't have anything for Dirt, although we're just gonna call an audible say WrestleMania is
Poor
since
Dirt.
that is the most recent thing he's gotten into.
Poor Dirt.
Which, you know what?
That's
Hey,
too funny.
That's
too funny.
All right, wrestling fans, you get what you get. That's all I'm saying.
It's funny. All right, so now it's down to us. Got to figure out what's what. Oh,
yes. Like as we've said, I think we did say there was a potential. That is definitely a potential click of the week of the war, not WrestleMania, but War the Journey to Mystery #1. Let's make that very clear.
I mean, despite kind of like the back and forth we had about Friendly Neighborhood #5 this week, I like that issue. I have it listed as a potential click of the week.
Exactly, that one. Yeah, I was going to say that myself. Like, yeah, despite the other stuff, it was definitely a good issue for some of the stuff that it did, despite what we thought could have been the case. So
right. Amazing was, like it's a good, follow-up chapter because you could see a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, Amazing Good was good, but it wasn't like
because it's just it's like a middle. I was about to say you could definitely tell it's a middle chapter. That's what I was saying. Right. It's a middle chapter.
There wasn't anything wowing in it. It was like, okay, yeah, just keep going. Cool.
Right. Invaders
pretty much the same way,
I mean, I guess I'm going to go with my initial instinct and just go with Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #5 and go with that. That'll be mine.
Okay. I think I am going to go with Tim, actually. And War of the Realms Journey into Mystery #1.
There you go.
Because if anything out of this week kind of had a point to it, had a standout point to it, it was that.
No, I definitely see where you guys are coming from on that.
All right, let's get to an ad.
All right, first ad of the night is for Funko. Fun at first sight, your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel, t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise such as custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with $10% off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. All right, and now we're going to transition into the news.
It would help if I did not mute myself, or if I unmuted myself, because I was just saying that, and I was like, wait, what?
That's funny. All right.
Cinematic news. Starting off with Kumail Nanjiani in talks for leading role in Marvel Cinematic Universe, as reported by Newsarama. So apparently, he's in talks, according to Hollywood Reporter, a possible role in the Eternals.
Okay.
As what we don't know, and they don't know. So, but there's speculation as it could be Kang, because as Ramatet, possibly. Or Gilgamesh.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a little on the nose, but okay.
A little bit, but or possibly. There's a hint here that says Hidden in Time, so it could be Gilgamesh, also the Forgotten One.
Right.
So there's speculation at this point. We'll find out after a while.
Well, you'd have to get pretty jacked to portray the Gilgamesh that we saw way back when.
They do interesting things with CG nowadays.
Right.
So, next up,
Disney launches an Avengers charity event for seriously ill children. So, Endgame actors visited the Disneyland Resort to launch Avengers Universe Unites, a charity event that supports the Walt Disney Company's signature philanthropic commitment, Disney Team of Heroes, which delivers comfort and inspiration to seriously ill children around the world.
Good stuff. If you're watching the video, you can see pictures from said event. There's a good bit of Robert Downey Jr. and a bunch of kids. Oh yeah, here's
ScarJo's there, Hemsworth is there, Renner, Rudd, and Captain Marvel, Brie Larson.
Yep. And apparently there's been a lot of talk about Paul Rudd, who seemingly never ages, even though he's like outside of this. But
the dude's like 50 years old. Does not look it.
Yeah, hey, dudes look good for 50. So, but you know, it's kind of a thing. It's going off a slight topic. You're going to start like, hey, what is 50 at this point?
Exactly.
Anyway, that's another topic for another time. Next up, speaking of Avengers, I do like there was an alternate title to this, but Chris Evans is launching a political website with some help from Congress. I saw another article. I don't know if this was the same article or a different article, and basically said that Captain America is finally Captain America is getting political finally, which I had a good giggle at. So yeah, apparently a video was leaked or was put out showing Chris Evans asking members of Congress to participate in his political website, and I guess the video was leaked to CNN, and Evans went out on Twitter, says, guess the cat's out of the bag. Thank you for everyone who's already participated. The site is called he's a starting point, and he says it is to be a civil engagement project that allows people to better understand the Democratic and Republican arguments for current issues affecting the country, according to this article. Participating congressmen are given a list of questions and subsequently interviewed on camera by Evans, who asked in the video that participants keep their individual questions around a minute in length. But so basically, you know, it's a seems like
it's another. He's promoting a forum for discussion.
Yes. So good on him.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about a way to move the discourse forward using your platform
in a positive way,
right?
So hey, good on Chris.
Right.
Some have suggested like whether the role of Cap has affected him as much or vice versa.
It's probably a bit of both.
Yeah, I would think so. So
it's probably a bit of both. Like given the current climate of politics and discourse, it's probably a little bit of both. Depending on how not being fully versed in what his politics were before taking on the role,
right?
But given the fact that he is from the Northeast,
right? I there's a part of me that when this was, I'm like, is he bucking to go for president? And then we would have actually Cap for president, which is
I hesitate to even think about that happening.
I do too, but and I'm slightly surprised someone hasn't said it before now. Well, I'm pretty sure some people have said it because people are quick to be like, oh, this person did something good, so they should run for president.
Right.
Knowing everything, but anyway, that's a whole nother situation. Next up,
he is old enough now.
He is, yes. So, but anyway,
Constitution. I just had to double check. I wasn't sure.
Wait, how old is he?
37.
Okay, yep, you're right.
So next up, as the ramp up to Endgame is hitting full fervor,
fast and furious, as some would say.
Right. We had a global press conference over the weekend where the cast and crew, including a dozen Avengers actors, talked about the legacy of the MCU, the challenges of creating an ending for an ongoing superhero universe, and the fan experience the Russos are aiming for with Endgame. Do you have a bit in here about the empty chairs?
Yes, it just says the article says that sadly, in attendance, a few dozen empty chairs for those dusted by the snap.
Right. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, indeed. And so yeah, April 26th, folks. It's coming.
It's not that far away. We're talking about 2 weeks, people. That's insane.
Also on the
very quickly, I was gonna say very quickly before you move into the next pit.
Okay. Sure.
Roddy Cat and I have discussed over the last couple of weeks about we've discussed when we're going to stop looking at links or looking at news that involve potential spoilers
and
trailers, including trailers and commercial spots.
Mm-hmm. And it's safe to say that we are both there at this point.
Right. We're definitely both there. The last thing I watched was the ticket sale teaser. I know that they dropped a scene this past week. I said, nope, not today. I know that I've seen a teaser post or spoiler posts of toys that are out now, and I hesitate to even walk into a toy aisle right now because there's information there. I'm just going to ignore it until this movie drops. It's going to be here sooner than you guys think.
Yep.
So just getting back to the news, you can take that next one, but I just wanted to let people know that that's where both of us are.
Yep. So yeah, while we will bring this up as news items, we're not watching stuff. Right. And speaking of, so the some of the Avengers cast was on Jimmy Kimmel recently, and that's where this next story.
Right, they're being featured all week on Kimmel.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I don't watch. Well, I think my wife does, but I don't want to watch Kimmel all that much. But nevertheless, the Avengers Endgame cast reads Infinity War as a children's book. And just to cap off what Agent 70 just said, I have not watched the video of this for fear of spoilers.
Right.
Obviously, I don't think they would. I don't know why I'm clicking on that, but obviously, I don't think they would, obviously give away in-game stuff.
Right. They're basically talking about, funny ways of referring to the events of Infinity War. So,
well, excuse me. Let me rephrase that, because there shouldn't be any spoiler because it's Infinity War, not in-game.
Right.
So basically, they were reading. So actually, this one's probably safe to read because I mean, if you haven't seen Infinity War by now, I don't know,
you're a little behind.
Yeah. So it's probably safe to watch this one and say, but I still haven't done it yet. So
Gotcha. All right. Next up, Captain Marvel blasts well past 1 billion worldwide. I think we talked about this last week, but
we talked about that was close last week. It wasn't there. It wasn't that far off. So it tipped it already, and I think it tipped it probably. It might have. So I think, matter of fact, I did mention that the fact that the news we had was it was getting close, and I think it had actually passed by then.
Gotcha.
It didn't have an article on it.
Gotcha.
So but yeah, it's done it.
Congratulations.
Really, it's another money vault. Next up. Black Widow, a movie we're supposed to pretend isn't official, adds another familiar face. And that familiar face, well, it's not familiar to me, but wait, who is this person?
Who is?
Someone from The Handmaid's Tale. Some dude from The Handmaid's Tale. If you're watching the video, you can see them profile, and you probably will know, like, oh yeah, you know who that person is. O.T. Benno.
You got me.
Benno.
That's a good. I was about to say that's a new one for me, man.
Yeah, I apologize if I screwed up your name, but yeah, I'm not. That's an interesting sounding name. But yeah, so the Black Widow movie getting this dude, and also apparently, we also found out that David Harbour and Rachel Weisz are also both confirmed to be in the movie.
Okay.
So I guess hey, the Black Panther movie that some people are acting like they don't want, or they don't want, or don't care much about, is still happening. Which I get some of the sentiment. It's like,
I mean, the Black Widow. You said Black Panther.
I'm sorry, Black Widow movie. Yes. Yeah, we've gotten Black Panther, and you already know my thoughts on that. So, but yeah, so some people, well, actually, some people don't care about the Black Panther movie, but that's for a whole different reason, probably similar reasons to this one. But I'm like, you know what? Hey, I think we even talked about this as recent as last week. Black Widow is a movie that, hey, there's some stuff that could be seen. There's stories that could be told from it. Some feel that it might be a little late for this movie. Like this should have happened before now. I would slightly agree.
I guess.
But nevertheless, hey, the fact is coming. I'm like, hey, some could argue we could have had Captain Marvel. We should have had Captain Marvel before now.
Right. What I would mention though is that I think Scarlett Johansson was pregnant at some point in between. I think.
Yeah, but they had no plans for no movie at the time.
Right.
Anyway,
so. My point is, even if they had, practically speaking,
true.
Where like it's kind of difficult to have placed that in the considering that her character literally appears in every Avengers movie.
Right.
So, but and the pragmatic argument aside, I understand we should have seen her before now.
Yeah. I think it was either Avengers. I think it was Avengers. It was either Avengers or Civil War. One or two. Either doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to our next President Bartlett. Come on.
What's next?
I'll tell you what's next. So Australia is giving Marvel Studios $17.1 million in a subsidy to film mystery movie there.
Oh, God.
So apparently, as the headline suggests, Australia is helping out Marvel Studios for whatever reason with the money because they have all of it. Apparently, it's to entice Marvel Studios into filming an unspecified.
Yeah, no, it's not. Right, it's not helping them. It's just basically them saying, "Hey, you come here." Like states have done, like they've done this in like North Carolina have done this. Like, hey, come here, you can get some tax cuts or whatever.
Right.
And now when I saw this article, I think I said on Twitter, it was like, the X-Men hid out there for a minute, so
that's funny. I did not even think about that. Like if they did Outback X-Men,
right? I was like, even though that would be a little on the nose, but nevertheless, it's still kind of funny. And then another thought I had on this was like, well, I wonder if it is an actual Marvel movie that they want him to do, or they want him like, what if it was like, so the UK kind of has a Marvel branch, and there might be a hero or somebody like say a Captain Britain or something type that could be there that they want him to do a movie for. Like it could be an Australian centric Marvel character that we don't know about that they want Marvel to come over and do a movie about. Right. I don't know of any characters such as that, but I'm just saying that was my speculation. But more likely, it's probably just like, hey, you know what? We can get you some subsidies. Here's some money. Come film here. We got you. Which I think, according to this article, they've done stuff in Australia before.
Yeah, Thor: Dark World. That's the last one they did.
According to this, yeah, and that's not the only one. We don't need to go through that, but yeah, Ragnarok was the one with that shot in Australia. Not Dark World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's that. We'll see if anything comes from that, knowing what we have slated. Next up, New Mutants remains on Disney's 2019 schedule, apparently.
All right.
Go figure. So after last, I think we talked about this last week, and that Macy Williams didn't know what they were going to do with it, and the merger still had, it already went through and whatever. So it sounds like it's still going to come out, and the film has been assigned a release date of August 2nd. Still don't know if those reshoots had actually happened or not, by the way, but I'm assuming at some point. Yeah. So there you go for you New Mutants fans.
Alrighty, I might actually combine all three of the upcoming ones.
Run it.
Just so that we can move things along. So Disney Plus launch date has been revealed, and there's been a slate of shows that have been talked about, including The Mandalorian and a couple of Marvel shows I don't want to talk about because I think they're mildly spoilery. But the launch date is set to be November 12th. And it's going to be available for $6.99 monthly or $69.99 annually. So that's the rundown on the news that just dropped over the last day or two about Disney Plus, and it seems like we're all going to be adding a streaming service to our subscription lists.
Yeah, it's kind of what it sounded like. I mean, because we talked about this a little bit before the show, for what seems to be presented in here, and it sounds like it's going to be ad-free,
right?
So that's another tip to the cap, because like Hulu's got ads all over the place. Although ad-free still could mean they might have some sort of interstitial somewhere along the lines. I don't trust these places that well. But nevertheless, I mean, Disney. Well, not Disney. I was going to say DC Universe, but that's another story. That's a side thing that's not like this. But given the breadth of stuff that they have, that's going to be on this thing, that's a pretty damn good value.
Yeah, it's a pretty good value.
Like and up into including what we found out all the seasons of The Simpsons, which is weird to be on anything Disney related.
Right. And we're gonna presume at this point, obviously I'm purely speculating at this point. In terms of what's available from the Fox catalog, I would wager a guess and say that it's not going to be every single digital film that would be available under that, but it would be.
I think they might break that out in something else.
Right. It would be something Marvel related, I would presume. I would presume that the X movies might be available.
So someone speculated. Well, I just saw a tweet just a second ago saying that somebody hopes that the X-Men animated series from the 90s would be on there.
Right.
Which could happen.
Definitely.
I don't know. Yeah, we don't know about
see, and obviously there's plenty of time for it to grow and expand, because what we're getting to begin with is already pretty big.
Right.
Based off of what we know. So.
Exactly. That's the Disney Vault, the slate of Star Wars shows, the Marvel shows that Agent 7 is trying not to spoil. Although, you can go ahead and take a lot of the stuff we've been talking about for months now, like the Loki show and the Vision, and which I guess we'll go ahead and get into that next one. And that Marvel Studios confirms WandaVision and shares info on their What If animated series. So apparently that What If series that we speculated about, or that was speculated out, that was talked about, I think what was last week we talked about, or week before last?
2 weeks.
Animated? Yeah. Whenever that was, is going to be animated. The Vision and Scarlet Witch show is called WandaVision, which that's, they could have just said when Vision and Scarlet Witch and been done with it, and just, WandaVision sounds like it's a TV show about, a TV show. Or
it's like filmed in WandaVision.
Right. It's like UHF or something.
Right.
Which, anyway. So yeah, and apparently there's going to be a Falcon potentially going to be a Falcon and Winter Soldier series.
Right.
So that makes sense. It's a buddy cop thing, I would imagine. Now somebody's talking about. Okay, let me get off. Let me not look at that.
Right, exactly. So, bottom line is that's what's being teased as the original content for the Disney Plus streaming service. So it makes it even more tempting.
I mean, some would hope that Agent Carter would make a run on that,
sure,
or a new run on that, as opposed to just what was already out there.
Sure, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Anyway,
next up, Ed Brubaker's "Too Old to Die Young" TV series has arrived on Amazon. It stars Miles Teller as a cop who finds himself embroiled in a high-stakes underworld, and now there's a trailer for it.
I'm assuming. Wait, well, we don't know if this is actually based off of a book or Brubaker is actually just doing. I mean,
right. I mean, Brubaker's stuff is all crime stories now. So
yes, usually, yeah, really. I was hoping. You know what, man? They should do Velvet. That's all I'm gonna say. Velvet probably needs to come. If you don't know Velvet, Velvet is basically what if James Bond's Moneypenny was like secretly a badass agent in the past. But anyway, that's just me. That was a good series, I thought. Next up, Suicide Squad 2. Idris Elba will play a new character and not Deadshot out of respect for Will Smith.
Okay.
We don't necessarily know who he's going to play, but yeah, I guess that's cool. You know, it's like, you know what, that's character's already been done by Will, and I don't want to step on that, I guess. Assuming if that's the
yeah, what's the cat-based character that you mentioned?
Cat-based character?
Yeah, there's a not Wildcat, but there's another.
So obviously, that was all I was thinking.
There's a Suicide Squad character that is cat-based.
I don't think that was me because my Suicide Squad is a little hazy.
Okay, well, I think my guess is that it's shout out to Matt Wang 97, who is always in our ear about the Suicide Squad. I'm pretty sure is it Golden Tiger, I think, or
White Tiger?
No, not White Tiger. That's Marvel.
That's Marvel.
But bottom line is, it'll come to me.
Tiger.
The Bronze Tiger. Thank you. I was about to say, as soon as the Google search kicks in, that's when we'll get it. Yeah, Bronze Tiger, because I understand Bronze Tiger played a leading role in a lot of Suicide Squad stories.
You know what? I can see that, and given what the characters he's played in both Star Trek Beyond and this Hobbs and Shaw movie, yeah, sure, that's as good a guess as any. But hey, we'll find out at some point, and possibly Viola Davis might be back. Sound like it might be back as Amanda Waller.
Yep.
Which I guess, I put it in as the next story. So
it's the next story. We covered that one. Yep. Alrighty, so I can skip to rumor. Shazam does feature that cameo after all. Well, sort of. So I don't know if you had caught Shazam yet.
No, I hadn't watched it yet.
I think I'm going to try to catch it this weekend because it'll give me plenty of time to, kind of sit, in a lonely theater. I'm pretty sure there's not going to be that many people in there. And just kind of take it in.
Right.
Because I don't think I can talk anyone into going to see it. We'll see. I already have someone who's trying to make time for me to take her to go see Captain Marvel so she could be caught up, and I'm like, yikes, we're cutting it down to the wire. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm about to say it's we still got a couple months before that comes out on home, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but in terms of getting it in before Endgame,
right?
So that's cutting it kind of trying to schedule that out is cutting it close.
Sure. Yeah. Which I would say on the Shazam, back to the Shazam thing, it could be a ringing endorsement, but no, not really. Don't take it for anything. Is the fact that we've been on top of pretty much all of the movies up to so far, but like that is anything is.
We'll get to it.
Or you could take it as that. I don't know.
We'll get to it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can cover the next one too. You could jump to Shazam has apparently magicked up a sequel.
Yeah, surprise? No.
Not
a surprise at all. So, yeah.
No, because that's probably going to end up being the Black Adam movie that The Rock has been trying to get filmed for the last 10 years.
Actually, no. I believe that is still a separate thing, and this is actually a sequel.
I know, I'm being mean.
Well, and you're probably right in it, but yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Like, I mean, hey, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say anything about outside of what I've seen in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Moving right along, Matt Ryan wants to play Constantine on DC Universe show, and that show being Swamp Thing, which, given the character, and yes, sure, why not? Let him do it. Yeah. As Matt Ryan has played a pretty great version of Constantine in his own show, and
He's been doing it since 2014.
Yeah. That show, I wish that show had another season. I really do, because it left on a cliffhanger that I was very much interested in, and I know there are some fans of Constantine and Matt Ryan for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, less said about that, the better.
Right.
Moving right along.
Right. So Game of Thrones is Ian Glenn, better known to Game of Thrones fans as Jorah Mormont, the eternally stuck in the friend zone Jorah Mormont, has been cast as Batman in DC Universe's Titans in the upcoming season.
Right. So the last time if you recall, we did see there was a Batman that showed up, and I think it was just like a stuntman and somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it was a stuntman at one point, but also, well, I say stuntman, not an actual stuntman, but it was basically somebody. But we also saw there was an actor that played him that came out and said, "Yeah, that was me."
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't this dude. So, sure, okay. I still haven't caught up with Titans. I don't know why. Some would argue that's telling, but it's not. Moving right along. Aaron Ahatz. I'm sorry.
You got me.
Nothing your name. You always get the crazy names. Thanks. Reveals plans for a scrapped 4th season of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So you don't need me to tell you what Avatar: The Last Airbender. Well, 8 to 7 you might. I don't know. But
yeah.
But it was a Nickelodeon show. It's not the movie, but there was a movie. But there was that M. Night Shyamalan movie that it was based off. That was based off it, I should say. The show's good. That's enough of that. That's enough said about that. If you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Bender show, you should check it out. It has some dips in it, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily anime inspired, but there's a look. So, and I would be curious as to what would happen given the events of the ending of that show. What would happen in the 4th season? Because I figured like that kind of finalized a few things. But anyway, oh well, this worked out timely. Good.
Yeah. Last story in the cinematic news section is Maze Runner trilogy scribe T.S. Nolan has been tasked with writing the screenplay for Wes Ball's Mouse Guard adaptation at. Is it still 20th Century Fox? Aren't they calling it like 20th Disney or something like that? Or
I mean, who knows? I don't.
Right,
I don't
but it's
they
cool
probably
that they're moving forward.
Oh man, will we see the? Wait, well, never mind. I'm not gonna get into that because I was about to say, will we see the 20th Century logo on Star Wars movies again, or have we not? I guess we will. I don't know. That's never mind. Because yeah. Anyway, so yeah, good thing for Mouse Guard as Agent 70 is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
At least the biggest one I know. So we are going to push over into the comic book news. And what sounds like it could be movie news, but actually isn't. Avengers Endgame Build-A-Bear Workshop unveils new Thanos plush.
Because those little kids are begging for it.
Yes, I mean, and given some of the other Theranos related stuff that has reared back its ugly head recently, that I found all that amusing. This is better, way better. So yeah, apparently there's a Build-A-Bear for Thanos.
All right.
With Gauntlet, as you can see if you're watching the video, and you should sometimes. You miss out on stuff like this, or our expression sometimes. Next
up, there's a review of that Roddy Cat is linked to in our show notes to a review of the Dora Milaje figure from the Marvel Legends Black Panther Wave 2, the second Black Panther Wave.
So actually, well, so yes, I think. Wait, I thought this was the So yeah, this is basically. I just put this in there to say, hey, it's out and this is the thing. But I thought this was it is. Yeah, this is the Marvel Legends series Black Panther Wave 2, featuring the Dora Milaje, including Nakia, Okoye, and a couple of other folks. And I thought this was the Build-A-Figure that was in M'Baku.
No, M'Baku. Just to straighten things out a little, M'Baku is the actual Build-A-Figure from the second wave. Okoye was the Build-A-Figure from the first wave. Nakia was a separate figure. Where she's depicted as wearing the Dora Milaje armor.
Yes. See a picture. Yeah. Well,
so that's So that's the breakdown. This is the figure here has one of the heads that's included is the. I think it's the only head that's included. Come to think of it, it's the. Oh no, there's multiple heads. That's cool.
Yeah, a couple of the.
I would say this is definitely an army building figure. You can get some of these Milaje figures.
Right, and there's the Florence Katsumba character.
The Grace Jones looking chick.
Stop.
I'm just quoting the movie.
Yes. Move or be moved. that lady.
I'm literally quoting the opening scene from
Black Panther. Yes, I know.
But anyway, moving on.
That is not the first time that has been said about her.
Right,
so.
right.
Which is kind of funny. Anyway,
I mean, listen, she's been around since whatchamacallit, since Civil War.
Well, yes.
She was in the she was the original Dora Milaje that was pictured.
Yeah, that's what said move or be moved. That's her. Yeah. And she was also in Wonder Woman, but that's a whole separate thing. Anyway, so yeah, this was just a review on that and how you can, I guess, there's that. Okay. Next up, why do you do this to me? Here we go. So Star Wars Celebration is going on as we speak at this Thursday. I shouldn't even say this. I feel like quoting Q-Tip, but it is the 11th of April and 2019. Star Wars Celebration has started. I have seen some footage from there. There are people live tweeting and getting stuff there and whatnot, case may be. This basic article is what you can expect. We've already been getting some news, hence the Disney Plus stuff was basically just dropped, was a part of that. And this article is basically talking about stuff that should be shown that they're previewing. Some of it we already knew about, some of it we don't know about it, including, and I'm going to take this next one, including this. There has been a teaser trailer for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is an EA game, video game with Respawn Entertainment, though that of Apex Legends and Titanfall fame, former Call of Duty folks making a game for EA. We've talked about this before, so that the game is going to be talked about, and well, the teaser already happened, but there's going to be a panel on it. I think Saturday. So there are people that are chomping at the bit to see that coming out, and I am curious to see what that's going to be, because given the pedigree of those people, and there's also cause to be leery because it's EA. But we only know a few things on that. But nevertheless, like I said, Celebration's got a bunch of stuff, and there's a bunch of panels that they're talking about that's going to be talked about. And I believe they're live streaming. So if you're getting this on a Thursday night, you can go check. Definitely on Friday, check the Star Wars channel, and they should be live streaming a lot of that stuff. The basically the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these panels are going to get live streamed, if I'm not mistaken, at least the main stage stuff. So from tomorrow to Monday, yeah, a lot of stuff. So there's some Clone Wars stuff. There's a Mandalorian stuff, of course. So there'll probably be more about the Mandalorian. There's a Phantom Menace 20th celebration, which I guess that's why Hayden Christensen is going to be there. And a bunch of other stuff. There's some Marvel stuff, obviously, because Marvel's doing the comics. There's a Rebels Remembrance thing.
Sure. As always, the lesson is I have the high ground. But
oh, and of course the Star Wars the theme park. They're probably going to be talking about that also.
Sure.
So a bunch of stuff, books, toys, which that's another big thing with Celebration, because it was like, yeah, you get to see the new Star Wars toys that are coming out, et cetera, Lego Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. So it was a bunch of stuff. Yeah, we talked about that. So next up.
All right, so next up, we've gotten some more information on Hickman's House of X and Powers of X, his return to Marvel Comics. House of X is going to see Charles Xavier unveil his master plan for mutant kind, one that will bring mutants out of the shadow of mankind and into the light once more. Powers of X will pull back the curtain on the secret past, present, and future of mutant kind, changing the way you look at every X-Men story before and after. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to this because Hickman's going to weave some mumbo jumbo into the X-Men universe.
We would hope it is infinity levels of good, because we all enjoyed that. Especially some of us enjoyed New Avengers more than we had any right to, but it was good stuff. And it was much Hickman mumbo jumbo in that. And
I enjoyed the expansion of the Avengers roster. I really thought that was
it was great.
That was some awesome stuff, bringing in, kind of graduating some heroes to the big leagues. So
yeah, sure. Yeah, there was a lot going on. That was great about that. And of course the Skullduggery between T'Challa and Namor was great to me. That was my whole thing. I was going to say something like I was going to reference Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends, but I don't think I'm going to do that because it's not worth it and probably has nothing to do with it. Anyway, moving right along, Marvel announces the return of the Future Foundation in July, which I said earlier that I think you asked about this at one point, by the way. So I said earlier that solicitations for July are starting to come out. Marvel's has not put theirs out fully, but there's been some leaks.
teasers, right?
Yeah. So yeah, apparently the Future Foundation, who we last saw going back into space-time near the first couple of issues of Fantastic Four,
right?
They're going to be back. I mean, minus Franklin and Valeria, by the way. Yeah.
Right.
So, just July's Fantastic Four number 12 promises the saga of Future Foundation, which I'm assuming is what they get into. Well, according to maybe not, because
Franklin and Valeria are included.
Right, in this picture that we're showing, so that's probably not the case. It's going to be a backup story from writer Jeremy Whitley, who is the writer on Unstoppable Wasp, which came out this weekend. I totally forgot to read.
All right.
And art by
a backup story in FF.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course,
that's a good place for it. To be honest, I think.
Sure, why not?
Right. It's the Future Foundation. I love reading that, but when it was its own book, but it was actually a FF substitute. Reed and Sue were running around in it too, so
right.
That kind of gave it name recognition. I don't know if you would see that kind of support for what's essentially like an updated version of Power Pack. So
we know somebody who probably would, but
right. But ultimately, what we have is, I think that's the perfect place for it is as a backup stories in FF proper.
Right. Of note, if you didn't already know, Future Foundation, Jonathan Hickman joint.
Right.
Created by Hickman. So that was perfect. Invisible Woman. Speaking of FF people getting their own book, Invisible Woman reunites with Mark Waid for a new title. So Sue Storm is going to get a miniseries, folks.
It's about time. I don't think she's had one.
Some would argue against that, but I kind of agree with you. I can only imagine what that's going to be. Excuse me, my apologies. But according to this coming July, Mark Waid and Maria de Lulis and Adam Hughes are going to be the creative team on this miniseries. Oh, so it's years ago, after becoming franchise for everyone's favorite, Invisible Woman was taking on Avengers of her own on an espionage mission for S.H.I.E.L.D. And we have seen her as late as a few years ago working with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, wait, was that? Yeah, wait, that was actually also during Infinity, I believe, wasn't it? Because she was.
I remember it. I know what they're referencing.
Because I don't know if they're referencing that, but I remember she was a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. when the Illuminati, which Reed was a part of, was basically on the run during that whole thing, if you remember correctly. I think that was that. I might be a little slightly off, but I know that was it. It might have been leading up to Secret Wars or something. I don't know. Regardless,
I don't think the tease that Brevoort has in this. In over 50 years, she's never had her own title, or maybe she didn't. Maybe she did, and you just didn't see it.
Right. That's
I mean, I've been reading Marvel comics for a long time, and I honestly cannot remember a solo title or even a miniseries that.
Well, also she's the Invisible Woman, so you didn't see it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the joke. But in all seriousness, it's kind of surprising that she's never had at least like a 3-issue miniseries or something.
Right. Although, let me see. I want to say, wait, no, because there was a miniseries with her, I want to say, and a few other Marvel women. I don't know how to do some research on that, but I feel like that was it, and I can't remember the name of it. Right.
This is a solo series. That's my point.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. But there's been
we've had multiple Rogue miniseries, multiple Storm miniseries.
Right, but my thing was there has been, but the most time we've seen Sue is with the Fantastic Four, and I think there was the one other time that she was in a miniseries with other people that were not. There was probably outside of people.
Yeah, outside of like A-Force.
Right. Exactly. So this ought to be interesting. We'll check that out. When it happens. Again, July is when this goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Next up.
All right. David and Mana to introduce the Fantastic Four to the prodigal son. So Marvel Comics has announced a new series of interconnected titles that will introduce a new character to the Marvel Universe. The Prodigal Son series kicks off with this summer's FF, The Prodigal Son _1, before continuing in a series featuring the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Silver Surfer. Going to be written. The initial encounter is going to be written by Peter David with art by Francesco Mana. So what is this, like a video game tie-in?
No. So this is basically like the Best Defense or Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
Those series that happened in the last year, and Typhoid Fever, which I don't think I feel like we did. Anybody on this panel? Well, it was mostly it's been us. So I don't even know if we've even talked about that. But regardless, this is going to be a vein of so it's basically like three one shot stick together with a underlying theme of one character or so being the through line.
Okay.
So that's all. So yeah, I don't know who this prodigal is, but we'll find out soon. They have, it's worth noting that they have Khazar and Shana on the cover of this, so something in the Savage Land. And I guess this is the shadowy figure is probably the prodigal that speaks of.
We'll see.
We will see. Next up. Loki gets a new series and a familiar Marvel weapon / artifact in July. So, spoiler.
Hold on.
So and yeah,
I'll ring the spoiler bell because I think I know where you're going. So
I mean, this is actually, and I think we probably speculated last week when we talked about this. So, War of the Realms happened, and I'm sorry if you haven't read it by now. But yeah, ultimately it looks like Loki gets eaten. But apparently he had gotten better or something. But we kind of speculated as to whether that is actually what happened. Because I'm pretty sure we said then we have seen Loki die plenty of times on and off screen,
or on and off the page.
Yes. So we wasn't sure if that was the case, and sure enough, hey, we were right. So apparently, it says Marvel Comics is bringing the God of Lies and Mischief back from the dead in a brand new series written by Daniel Kibblesmith, who's doing that Black Panther and Deadpool thing, which was all right, or at least a couple of issues that I read, I guess. And artist Oscar Bazaldua. I apologize.
Bazaldua, I think it is.
Sure, I apologize for screwing up your name. But yeah, according to this picture of the cover, Loki has Mjolnir.
Okay.
Meow. So we'll see what goes on with that.
Alrighty. Next up, Major X. You know that title that we've all been waiting for from Rob Liefeld.
Oh yeah, and had such glowing things to say about it last week.
Major X #2 has actually already sold out before even being released and is going to return with a second printing. People are ordering it apparently.
Apparently, yeah, it's Rob Liefeld, and just probably giving them a stop. That's not nice. I mean, maybe some truth to it. I don't know, but hey, Liefeld's got his fans. Let's not. I don't know what to say about those people, but yeah.
True.
Hey, noticeable lack of pockets and the swollenness. So maybe he's learned. Oh wait, I'm sorry, he's not doing the art.
Funny.
So yeah, so that's the thing. So I guess congrats. I don't know. I do recall you saying you didn't have much to say about it. And I just
there wasn't much good to say about it. So
yeah. In fact, I don't think if the other guys had mentioned anything about it or not, but it doesn't matter because it is what it is. The definitive history of the Marvel Universe arrives this July. July is going to be a month, man. The Marvel Universe Exploring and Connected. So this is the Mark Waid book that we have been talking about for probably the last 2 or 3 weeks. It says here the Marvel history of the Marvel Universe will reveal previously unknown secrets and shocking revelations, connecting all threads of the past and present from the Marvel Universe. And I'm sure 18_70 is thinking retcon.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So, yeah, from the Big Bang to the Twilight of Existence, this sweeping story covers every significant event and provides fresh looks at the origins of every fan's favorite Marvel stories. It is the 80th anniversary of Marvel this year, so, they're doing things.
Right. Speaking of people coming back to the fold, such as Rob Liefeld, Image co-founder Eric Larson has announced a return to Marvel. He's going to be doing a few short-term projects. So that's cool.
And yeah, he's been rolling off of Savage Dragon for a minute now, which I don't know what to say about that book.
Hmm.
Saying I've read it, but I've seen images of things in that book. I'm like, really? All right, whatever. So yeah. Does it say here what he's doing?
It's like 3 short projects. Total 41 pages, apparently.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, do we have anything specific? Doesn't seem like it. So, okay, cool. Moving right along. Did you see the thing about you know what? Never mind. We'll talk after that because that's stupidity. I don't want to bring up during the course of this. There was a name that was mentioned in the course of that article that I was going to ask you about. Todd McFarlane welcomes Jim Lee back to Image Comics for Spawn 300. So,
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Todd McFarlane revealed on Instagram that his fellow MX co-founder Jim Lee is returning to the company to draw something for the Milestone 300 issue.
Right. It's probably a cover.
Maybe.
So, alrighty. Next up, Tom King summarizes his entire Batman run so far in a single tweet. And that single tweet is, should I hit the spoiler bell?
I mean, it's a tweet. It's not really.
Yeah, it's in public. So, Batman is sad because Selina, with a push from Bane, left him at the altar, which is misspelled. Bane is trying to make him even more sad in order to break him. As part of this plan, he's subjecting Batman to a series of nightmares. Hope that helps.
Yeah. So this was an answer to a person asking him if it was all right to jump on board with Batman and anything he needed to know.
Well, he needs to know when is this going to start to make sense. So,
well, yeah, excuse me, stay on board, not get on board. And you know, to his credit, Tom King was like, you know what, because he even says underneath that for the tweet that he references back to, he says, I wrote a quick Batman update summary of a kind, maybe lost a fan, excuse me. I wrote up a quick Batman update summary for a kind, maybe lost fan. Punctuation is everything, folks. Seemed to help. Thought I'd post it for any other kind, maybe lost fans. This is a long story being told in lots of ways by lots of artists. I begrudge no one for saying what the hell is going on. So even he knows, you know, the deal.
Yep.
So
next up.
Tom King teases the start of his follow-up to Mr. Miracle and Vision. So yeah, Tom King's apparently, this was also another tweet that he did, saying finally started the follow-up to Mr. Miracle, which I didn't necessarily. Well, I guess some would argue Mr. Miracle probably does need a follow-up. And Vision, another 12-issue mini with a lot of ambition. I'm scared, but man, I'm having fun. So you figured the visual one probably could have stayed the way it is. I mean, let me rephrase that. The visual one is perfect the way it is. We got that out of the way. I'm not sure what you would do for a follow-up to that. I mean, sure, you could kind of.
My guess is that he's gonna grab another, you know, kind of B-level character and do something epic with it. You know, do some kind of character study.
Oh no, but he says Vision.
No, what it says though is that it's a 12-issue mini with a lot of ambition. Is it specifically for Vision following up? I thought it was just another 12-issue miniseries involving a character, as that would be his follow-up to those two, you know, kind of epic miniseries. That's how I interpreted it. I didn't read the article though.
No, sounds like he's going to do follow-ups to both actuals.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mr. Miracle one and although you know what, Your Way, basically says he sound like he's doing a follow-up to those titles. So it makes it sound like he's doing another mini for both of them, and not what you're thinking, which sounds plausible.
Okay.
But you would think he would have worded that another way and wouldn't have used those two specific, examples.
Right. My guess though is that because they're those are characters that are not at the same publisher. That's why I thought that's why I thought the way I thought. I interpreted his
Well, this article seems to be agreeing with you or at least speculating with you. Because it says down here at the bottom, it's like King has given no indication as to which company the new title will be for, let alone what character it will center it on.
Right. So that's what I kind of that's how I understood that to be. It's like he's just setting us up for, expect another kind of longer miniseries that's going to focus on a single character.
I could see that. But him dropping both of those names seemed like, it made it seem like he wanted to do follow-ups to both of those minis, which, like I said, Mr. Merkel, I can see Vision was could have, and then I thought about was like, wait, so someone else was supposed to do a Vision book, and that didn't work out for them, and that would be kind of bad if he actually gets to do that with another Vision miniseries, and this other book got canceled because of shenanigans. Anyway. We'll see whatever happens to whatever. I'm hearing it, by the way.
I heard it slightly. We'll see if it goes away. All right. DC is going to collect those big Walmart 100-page giant stories for comic stores coming up in October and November.
According to this article from Bleeding Cool, I have not seen it anywhere else. So go figure.
Right. We'll see. Next up.
Oh wow! I just saw another thing on the side. That's weird. A new Green Lantern series by N.K. Jemisin will help relaunch DC's Young Animal imprint.
Okay.
So which I did not. Well, I guess so, because I don't think any of those books from the imprint was still going at this point. Although. No, that's not either. So yeah, I guess that imprint kind of had languished, but now this Arthur. So N.K. Jemisin is a writer. I believe she's the best-selling writer. I know I've heard that name before, and I've also seen her streaming on Twitch. Hugo Award winner. Pardon. So she has a new vision. If you're watching the a
sci-fi writer.
Yes.
Okay.
So she has a new vision for a new Green Lantern. She's and if you look at the vision, if you look at the still stuck on the vision thing, get out of that. If you look at the photo, if you're watching the video, you will see a cover for this. And it says here is like we came up with a GL story that was meant to be unlike other GL stories, a unique ring, one lantern on her own apart from the core, a frontier sheriff, except her frontier is a futuristic society with its own complex history and of colonization and change. And also, if you notice, like I said, from the this lantern is a black woman that looks kind of like Janelle Monáe. So let's take some inspiration from Janelle Monáe. That someone said this on Twitter. That is not from me. So, and this is coming out later this year, and it's called Far Sector. So look out for that. Seems interesting.
Next up, in what seems a little beyond interesting, going into the weird, Archie versus Predator has now spawned a sequel, Archie versus Predator 2, which brings revenge to Riverdale along with heat and thermal imaging.
So it's basically Predator 2 with Danny Glover.
Getting too old for this blankety blank. All right, next up.
Yeah, and there's been a bunch of Archie versus, remember the Bull and the Punisher, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so speaking of Archie, there's a bunch of new stuff coming to Archie Unlimited this month. And Archie Unlimited is kind of like Marvel Omnibus of Archie books. Duh. Next up,
Comic Books Incorporated, how the business of comics became the business of Hollywood. So apparently Comic Books Incorporated is a new publication.
is a book.
Ah, okay.
So yeah.
Talking about all that.
Yeah. So it says here, Comic Book Incorporated tells the story of the U.S. comic books business, reframing the history of the medium through an industrial and transmedia lens. Comic books wielded their influence from the margins and in-between spaces of the entertainment business for half a century before moving to the center of mainstream film and television production. So I guess this goes into the ins and outs of that. Moving right along.
Alrighty.
Eric Powell to release a new art book in October 20. I'm
21.9.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm hoping that's supposed to be 2019, not 2119, as this article says.
I was about to say it's not April 1st anymore, folks.
No,
I'm guessing it's just a typo.
Yes, we'll go with that. And so yeah, so Eric Powell, creator of the Goon, will reveal all the secrets in the art and many other mistakes of Eric Powell. Looks like Boom is releasing this, and like I said, it'll come out in October, either this year or 2109.
Next up, Dark Horse Books, Frederator Studios, and Nelvana Limited are proud to present the Art of Bravest Warriors. It explores the hit animated series Bravest Warriors and features hundreds of marvelous art pieces in one volume.
Yeah, it's a neat show. I like that show. You can see it on YouTube. That's cool. I do hope they darken up Wallow, because he's darker than that. Anyway, that's a little nitpicky. Surprise! Buffy's Angel gets a new series launching in 1 week. Shout out to Brian Edward Hill, who is writing said book, whom we've had on the show.
Alrighty.
Apparently, yeah, Angel's going to come back in the Buffy book in issue number 4, and then it's going to get his an Angel. Wait, he's going to get an Angel Zero, and therefore launching into his own book. So again, congrats to Brian Hill.
Alrighty. Good on him. Next up, creators Rachel Pollack and Richard Case from Doom Patrol are reuniting for one of several stories in an upcoming horror anthology called Dead Beats. It's curated by Eric Palicki and Joe Corallo. Dead Beats is a musical-themed anthology of horror that publisher A Wave Blue World is raising funds for now on Kickstarter.
Yes, and the Wave Blue World is where we found out that Joseph Elliott and Lisa King went to. And Steens is an editor at Boom. Oh no, Lionford. Sorry. Anyway, moving right along. There's a bunch of creators attached to that, and it sounds interesting.
It's an anthology.
Yep. No One Left to Fight gives a shonen anime a midlife crisis. So there's a book by Aubrey Sitterstone. Apparently the ruiner of G.I. Joe, some would say. That's the thing that was part of the thing I was gonna mention to you later. Is writing a book with Fico Ossio that will answer the question, what happens to heroes when the world doesn't need them anymore? So basically, this is like, hey, what happens if Goku's not needed?
Okay.
And they specifically reference Dragon Ball Z in this article. So, hey, it's that kind of thing. Although this dude looks like Akuma. Anyway, so that is the thing that is coming. Dark Horse is putting it out. I don't know when it's going to. Oh, here we go. July 3rd is when that's going to come out, and it's a 5-issue miniseries.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll check it out.
Sure.
Next.
And last but not least, unless we have overflow.
There's some spillover.
God. I'm kind of tired here, folks.
I know.
Dynamite celebrates Vampirella's 50th anniversary with a new series that's going to be authored by Chris Priest. Be on the lookout for the debut issue in the Vampirella Free Comic Day #0 book that's going to be out very soon, Saturday, May 4th. And
shout out to Priest.
Right, and the upcoming series is going to launch in full in July.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the thing. I guess Vampire does very good for Dynamite. Next up, hey, you want a Spider-Man Far From Home hoodie? You can get one. It's on sale. Actually, that's not bad. If you're looking at the video, you can see what it looks like. It will. Oh wait, that's the movie. $64.99 is the price, and pre-orders are up.
There you go.
Wait, is that Tifa? No, it doesn't matter, but you can go find it. Sure. Next up.
Now, last but not least, right?
Well, there is one more, but I just stuck that in there. Don't worry about it. But this is the last official one, yes.
All righty. So several Marvel Comics editors have shared an image with a scrolled title card reading Acts of Evil. Oh my God, is it Acts of Vengeance? Potentially teasing an upcoming story event. Oh my God.
So we said this. I said this. They have been mining their old things. Now, we don't exactly know what this is, but the font and the scroll thing basically harkens back to Acts of Vengeance. Acts of Vengeance, some like it, some hate it. Well, actually, I know
there's a couple of good stories that came out of it.
Actually, Avengers was kind of awesome. Let's be real. There was there was a couple of good stories that came out of it. It was an awesome premise to a point.
Sure.
Notably, I believe Siege came out of that one. Wait, was Siege came out of that one?
No, I don't think so.
I know Spidey going Cosmic Spidey.
Cosmic Spidey, Psylocke going Asian.
Yes. Oh, wait. I thought it was before that.
No, that was because Mandarin was part of that Acts of Vengeance storyline in X-Men. That's
because he was one of the big baddies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess Acts of Evil / Acts of Vengeance 2, possibly. I guess this article also notes that this will apparently overlap with DC's villain-centric Year of Villains, which, hey, we've already long said that DC and Marvel plays from the same books. This is no different.
Mm-hmm.
Because they definitely do the same stuff at different times, sometimes close to each other.
Unreal.
Yep. So, yeah, like I said, solicitations, we'll find out more when solicitations come out probably in the next couple of days.
Did you have one more story?
One last story that was not in the thing, and this is not necessarily comic related, but I just saw this one. I thought I had to put it in there. Karate Kids gets an illustrated storybook for the 35th anniversary. So that's neat looking, and there's also that Cobra Kai series that's on YouTube. You can go check it out. But yeah, so apparently it's a children's book based off the Karate Kid.
That's cool.
Probably not unlike that Die Hard Christmas.
I doubt it's going to be in that vein.
No. I'm just saying, but in the vein of movie that gets a kid's book.
Sure.
So, yeah, there you go. It is going to go on sale, and illustrated by Kim Smith. It goes on sale May 7th. Excuse me.
All righty.
So check that out if you're ready. And that is the end of the news. Hit us with that.
Last ad read of the night is for Blue Apron. Blue Apron's meal delivery service provides fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. Now, the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today.
And we have come to the end of another show. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being with us.
Yeah. We're continuing our countdown to Endgame. Our countdown to the first Game of Thrones episode is rapidly decreasing.
Well, yeah, for some of you that's been a long torturous
We
ride.
know you're out there. There's definitely a cross-pollination. There's definitely a cross-section.
That's true.
That probably watches that too. So
that's true.
We won't spoil anything.
Well, we won't spoil anything because we, as in me, hasn't watched any of it. So
oh
no. So yeah, there is that. But yeah, we still got a couple of weeks for movie protocol. So we will be back next week, 9-ish p.m. Thursday nights. You know how we do.
Sure. We are going to get hyped very soon, though, for Endgame. So just
very much.
Anticipation is really starting to build.
Yep. There will probably be some more news from Star Wars Celebration. And I hope at some point during this whole thing, I didn't say Star Trek. I know that will tire some folks. But look, it's not that serious. Anyway, there should be more news coming out of that next week. And some other probably good stuff on the way. Until then, I have been Roddycat. You can find me at Roddycat on Twitter. You can also find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter, CBCaps Instagram, News Nerds Needs Reddit also. Aiden_7 on Twitter and Instagram. Like he keeps it nice and sweet, unlike some of our other idiots. PC_Dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, and his other sites under that banner like I Need Comics. Tim, DGG98 on Twitter, The Kliq Nation on Twitter. That's DKLIQ NATION. Don't know why I feel the need to spell that out every time. But CB Cron on Twitter, and of course, Comic Book Resources CBR. Just to get some more letters in this, where he's writing his face off, and not Face Off the movie, which is a terrible John Woo movie. But we're not going to go deep into that. That's a whole other issue for a Treasury edition, probably. Or anyway, also. I know some of y'all like Face Off, but you're wrong. Go watch The Killer. Anyway, sorry. CSPN.us. You really should watch The Killer. It's a great movie. John Woo. Anyway, CSPN.us is where you will find this and other podcasts of note. Go check out them and us while I try to deal with speed for whatever echo this is. Also, Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course the host of the podcast SoundCloud page. Find us there, all of that gloriousness, and we will see you all next week around this time. Like I said, 9-ish p.m. Thursday nights, where we record live, or later when you have us in our ears. This has been the Kliq Nation Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. 1.